Sir.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما. ويا قوم أوفوا المكيال والميزان بالقسط ولا تبخسوا الناس أشياءهم ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين. هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور. I have recited these verses from various chapters of the Holy Quran, chapter 62, chapter 4, chapter 11, and chapter 67, and the translation is as follows. O ye who believe, when the call is made for prayer on Friday, hasten to the remembrance of Allah and leave off all business. That is better for you if you only knew. O ye who believe, devour not your property among yourselves by unlawful means except that you earn by trade with mutual consent. And kill not yourself. Surely Allah is merciful to you. O my people, give full measure and full weight with equity, and defraud not people of their things, and commit not iniquity in the earth, causing disorder. He it is who has made the earth even and smooth for you, so traverse through its sides, and eat of his provision, and unto him will be the resurrection. Jazakallah.
Zakla Marisa. My name is Muhammad Ahmed Chaudhry. I'm serving as the National Secretary of Sanat Tajarat. I wanted to share just a few slides, and Jazakallah for everyone making it to our first webinar. If we can go to the next slide, I wanted to share the the goal of Sanat Tijarat Industry and Trade is persuading members of Jamaat to involve themselves more and more into industry and trade. You can read the rest, but the persuade part is how we started these webinar series where we'll have some members sharing certain types of businesses. And the goal here is that I'm hoping all our 121 members that are in attendance really think about how they can engage in some sort of a business as they go forward. As a department, we are here to assist. We want lovingly bring folks together. We want to provide a framework for that, and hoping that more and more of the members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA can participate in industry and trade. The next slide, we're just going to share a few of the things of our goals. A secondary goal for the department is intra-Ahmadi commerce. What that means is amongst ourselves, if we can do more commerce amongst ourselves, that'll be good. We've heard a lot of examples of other communities being really good at this, and inshallah, our members will be enabled to do that as well. So if you're looking for certain services, whether as an individual, whether as a business, if you reach out to the department, we'll connect you. We are working on a member on Member 360. We are working on a business directory, but the intra-AMD commerce will go deeper and deeper in. But if you have a business, or if you're working business where you can not only hire Ahmadis but contract Ahmadis and do and have vendors, preferred vendors, we'd really appreciate launching that. Our website, which is a work in progress, is sotusa.org. While the scope of Sanat Tijarat is not naturally in the scope in assisting members in jobs, we do assist in that in a certain capacity. If you or we've gotten a lot of requests where there's a lot of parents whose sons or daughters are looking for jobs. The best way to start that process is send an email to Sanat Tijarat, sot.jobs@ahmadiyya.us. If you send an email there with the resume, what you're looking for, inshallah, you will get a timely response, and the department will assist in a very deep process. There's an Ahmadi recruiter who will assist with this, Zaki Aga Saab. He typically charges over $2,000 for this service, and for Ahmadis, we are making it available. So if you know individuals who are looking for jobs, please use this website. If you're not a member of our LinkedIn group, it has our logo on the top of it. Go to LinkedIn, ahmadiyya.us/LinkedIn, or go to LinkedIn and get to know that site. Request to join. Send us a message sharing which chapter you're from, who your local Sanat Tijarat secretary is, and we'll invite you to join. We already have over 700 members, and we'll be trading information there as well. While there are many WhatsApp groups, we believe the LinkedIn platform may be better for this type of communication. And like I said, there's many members already who have joined that platform, nearly 700, but we invite you to join. Alhamdulillah, we have now 141 members joining from perhaps beyond US as well. But if you do not know your local Sanat Tijarat secretary, I invite you to ask me, so put it in the message board and in the chat group, and we'll point you in the right direction. We'll give you a link. But our local secretaries are stepping up considerably. They have a lot more information, and we're going to try to enable at a chapter level as well how we create intra-AMD commerce, as well as assisting members in moving towards industry and trade. The last thing is around our member, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Community USA has launched this Member 360 portal. In that, if you can update your profile, we get a lot of requests for if we know someone who works in X industry. What we're going to do in that is very simply load your profile, and if you have a business, load information regarding that business as well. then we can sort and share that information amongst members who are looking to do something in that area. That's just a quick rundown. We'll put these links inside the chat as well. I know we have a lot of members, over 148 members now who are attending. So in order to manage this, please post your questions in the chat for now for the panel. Today's panel, alhamdulillah, will be managed by Rafi Bhatti Sahib, who's from Silicon Valley, and he will be managing the conversation around how to be your own boss, particularly around franchises. And after that, we'll provide a little bit more information on the department before we close as well. With that, Rafi Bhatti Sahib, turning it over to you.
Jazakallah, National Secretary Saab. It's an honor to be hosting this fireside chat. As National Secretary Saab mentioned, I have been a local secretary for Silicon Valley, and I'm humbled to be acting in the role of the assisting him in the programming for the National Center Tijarat team. We have some updates on our upcoming programs after the program today, including, so this is the launch of a webinar series. We will share with you our upcoming schedule, as well as an update about our flagship ACE conference. So stay tuned for that. But without further ado, let's just get into today's program. We have today with us two very diverse, experienced individuals who can share with us the process and the intricacies of the franchise business. Before we get into that, Ramla Sahaba, can we do the quick first poll just to get a pulse of the audience? So if you can please provide an answer to this question. What is your background? You have a day job, but you want to get into business. You immigrated recently and owned a business back home. You have a skill and you want to launch a business, even if you don't have prior experience. Maybe you're a student and interested in starting a business, or maybe you're just curious. I'm hoping this will update when the poll concludes. Musaba, has it been launched?
Yes, it's launched. I can end the poll whenever you want.
Oh yeah, please go ahead and end the poll. Yeah. Let's just see the results. Okay, about half has a day job, wants to get into business. I think the next two big groups are they have a skill and they want to launch a business, or they're just curious about that. All right, Jazakallah, that's really helpful context. Okay, so now let's quickly introduce our speakers today. Tahir Lubis Sahib, would you like to introduce yourself to our audience?
Assalamualaikum, Jazakallah Rafai Bhai and then the webinar team. My name is Tahir Lubis. I'm part of Jamaat, Silicon Valley Jamaat, and I've been living in the Silicon Valley area for 21 years or so. So I've been working as electrical engineer, and about 5 years ago I decided to buy a franchise, which I'm going to talk about. And I actually recently sold it as well about a month ago. Thank you. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Tarbay, we're looking forward to hearing your journey. Bashir Saab.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. My name is Bashiruddin Shams. I was born in Rabwa, Pakistan, and from there straight I came to United States. So I had the opportunity to be a franchisee of Burger King for a long time. And then after that, I have a franchise of dry cleaning, and that is in Maryland. So I'm part of the Maryland Jamaat right now. But I have lived in Zion, Illinois, first when I came here, so Chicago area, and then in Mississippi for about 30 years. And I've been in Maryland Jamaat for about 15 years now.
Jazakallah, Bashir Saab. We are looking forward to learning from your vast experience in this space. So our first topic is going to be focused on your individual journeys of how you got into franchise. So we would like to spend just a little bit of time learning to know that a little bit better. So Bashir Saab, why don't we start with you? How did it start for you? Can you share with our audience?
So I was about 20 years old when I came to the US. I'm not going to tell what year was that because you will know how young I am now. So this was a humor, okay? So you stay with me when I make a joke. So this next item is aspiring entrepreneur. You know, I got help from ChatGPT to make the slides, and GPT did that. I didn't put that thing there because I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea when I came to the United States. So, but I was supposed to study accounting. I was supposed to be accounting major. Like my brother Flauddin Shamsa was doing his CPA. But the circumstances, you know, turned into that I studied. I kept on going to college, and I studied economics, finance, accounting courses, business law, marketing, cost accounting, people skills management, and behavior in organizations. All these things turn out to be like helpful in what I was going to do in the future. Because I was, I started working as a part time when I was going to school in a restaurant. Because I was such a good worker, they made me a manager, and I got stuck there for 5 years. But I learned a lot from there. I learned the restaurant business inside out. And then I had the values, that honesty, loyalty, hard work, patience, and humility. All those things actually help you to develop yourself. I watched and learned from big franchisees who were great help. Good business people always come there and help you personally. So all these things helped me to when I had an opportunity to get into a franchise. Sheikh Tahir Ahmed Saab from New Orleans called me one time that there were 2 Burger Kings for sale in Mississippi, and if we could have a partnership. And that's what we got into. And then after 8 years, I developed more restaurants. I had about 7 Burger Kings there. So I was there about 30 years. And then after that, I sold them and moved to Maryland. And I found the dry clean business. This is a franchise also. And since 2010, I've been doing that thing. And by the grace of Allah Ta'ala, it has been successful. So next slide, please.
So the next, we will hear from, we'll switch just very quickly to Tahir Bhai, Bashir Saab, just hear his experience of like how he got into, and then we'll continue with your journey. Tahir Bhai, go ahead, please.
Sure. Right. So I think I mentioned earlier that I'm an electrical engineer by education. So I've been electrical engineer since I moved here in the Silicon Valley area, and I've been wanting to have a business. Thing is always like something I want to learn. I want to be able to do. And actually, I tried something on my own and didn't work out really well. And I came across a franchise called Mr. Electric. It's part of the bigger umbrella called Neighborly, and we, basically we met, we discussed about what the franchise is, and then I think with my background, maybe it's not too much of a difference. So I decided to start, basically sign the agreement, and then they provided like platform. So I think one of the reason I go with the franchise is because it provide a quick market entry. What I meant by that is like, if I open up a, electrical business, let's say Tahir Electric, so then people will say, okay, how long you been in the business? So things like that, like having that brand, I thought it was going to help me, and it did. So brand credibility and obviously also operational support, given that I don't have background in the business. So that has been helping me a lot. So I think I mentioned also, it's, over that 5 years, it's a lot of up and down. And I would say business is very difficult. I have a different perspective on like my current day job, where you just go there and then get paid, and business is nothing like that. Like you really have to work really hard, pray really hard, make sure that that money keep coming. And then I think at the end, I have a slide where uh, I really want to leverage this experience that I have to, especially we have part of the Ahmadiyya community. Hopefully we can work together and then can benefit each other. Jazakallah.
All right, Jazakallah, Bashir Saab and Tahir Bhai, for teeing up what we're going to be talking about further today based on, your initial experiences. We have about 30 minutes to focus on that now. We will, including in that 30 minutes is, time for Q&A. So I'd like to remind the audience that if you have any questions for them, you can start putting them in the chat. And based on the number of questions, we will, adjust our timing accordingly. So the next important thing, right? We just heard what got you into, starting a franchise. In case of Tahir Bhai, as he mentioned, also wrapping one up. And we're going to talk more about that, right? Like, when do you know it's time? But let's just say that you are curious, right? And the first question that might come to your mind is why and how should you even do it? So I think with the vast amount of experience that Bashir Saab has, we would naturally turn to him to get additional guidance around that. So Bashir Saab, if you can please walk us through what your framework is.
Ji, Jazakallah. We know, we have heard the word the American dream. What that means is that you can start from the bottom and you can go all the way up to CEO, become a CEO. And this thing is open for anybody. And this is the beauty of America, being in America. But this comes with some values and virtues. The ones that I mentioned earlier, all those good values that Islam teaches us, that we are supposed to be doing that. If we are doing that, then we can achieve the American dream. Now, there are two things that we can do. That you can have an independent business, and if you have one, and it's doing good, stay with that. You don't need to do anything else. That Allah Ta'ala's blessing is there, so keep it. But if you have a job and want to start a business, or actually if you have come out from the other country and you have some background of having a discipline in your life, or you have a business experience, then I would suggest that you consider having a franchise business. And that is because these are the benefits. There's a brand recognition is already there. Proven business model is there, which is very hard to start a business. But this model will be there. They provide training and support, operational support. Financing is easier because many of the banks and finance companies most likely have done this financing for the same model. So it becomes easy for you to get the financing. Collective marketing and collective bargaining power is there. there is so much difference. Like say a Coca-Cola company would charge a big franchisee than compared to an independent restaurant. There is so much difference. So collective marketing and collective bargaining power. Yeah, we talked about it. Fast startup is possible, because if you start from the scratch on your own, there can be many problems in there to how you're going to start and develop that. But they already have the model set up, and it's easier to start, and it takes less time. Then it's a calculate. Every business has a risk in it. But when you have a franchise that you can evaluate all their track record and so forth, and so it's a calculated risk. The franchisor does the inspections. They keep on doing those things. And some of the franchisees don't like that. But personally, I like for them to have it. I ask them to do that thing. I invite them, the inspectors, to come to my place and do the inspections for our managers, for our employees, because this is the benefit we get from them. So franchise and franchisor relationship is very important. They're actually partners, and their success, it depends on each other. If the franchisor is good, is good for franchisee. If franchisees are doing good, it's good for franchise. Their brand is good. So did we go on the other one? Okay, so this is good. So selecting a business field is very important. We can go to the other slide. Franchise business is available in any field, any type of business is there. They have a franchise. So there are many fields that the franchise is available. And this is like IT, AI, and cybersecurity services, food and beverages, there's fast food, cafes, casual dining. And by the way, about 70% of the franchise business is in the food and beverage. Then there is a field of personal services, salon, fitness centers, dry clean business, assisted living, medical billing service, accounting service. Then retail and automotive, convenience stores, car repair, car washes. Then home services and education, lawn care, tutoring, house and commercial cleaning. Now you could see that thing, the office cleaning business. It sounds like very this small and lower class. But I tell you, I met a guy from California, and he had that business. It was a multi-million-dollar business that you have the organization. That was not a franchise, but he had that business. You can develop those businesses, but the franchise business is available in those fields. Visual office, the virtual office, that's a great business, and people should look into that. There are so many opportunities in that field. Business support, co-working, remote reception, mail handling, hotel and motels. These are all the different fields. And first thing that what you got to do is pick one field. Just look it over where you will be comfortable, and then pick the field. What happens is that you're working on one field, and then something else comes there, another field, and you move over there, and you keep on going back and forth, and nothing happens. So I suggest that you pick a field. And these are just the example for top 14 franchises in 2005, this year. This is the ranking of that. Taco Bell, Jersey Mike Subs, Dunkin's, Popeyes, Ace Hardware, the UPS Store, Culver's, Wendy's, Hampton Inn by Hilton, Kuman, McDonald's, Chick-fil-A, KFC, Nothing Bundt Cakes. You see that you have heard these names. Those are all popular names. And those are the top franchisors. There are probably, if you have not heard, there's a Culver's and Nothing But Bundt Cakes, because they are not in all states yet. But Culver's is a fast food chain. Their numbers look very good. And Nothing But Cakes is a cake company. Next slide.
So, Bashir Saab, before we move,
Yeah.
just wanted to give you a survey of the questions we are getting, right? I think our audience is kind of anticipating what we're going to talk about next, right? So people are asking about the startup costs and what can you do with perhaps like
Changing.
50K. They asked us to name a few franchises in some of these industries, which we did. I think one industry that I don't see here, but a question is asking for is, can you name something in IT, AI, and cyber, since you mentioned it, particularly in Texas? If you don't know off the top of your head, that's
Yeah.
also fine, obviously.
I have the whole list of those IT related franchise, and I can share that if somebody would,
Okay.
if they would just send me that information, I would share that whole list, right?
All right. Sounds
But I
good.
can tell you that my source of information, which is the very classified information, that's Chat GPT, and you can just Google it, put that in the IT related franchise, and the whole list will come up there, and you can ask them, what is the cost involved in that? What are the pros and cons about it? They will give you all kinds of, now these days we have so much information available online. So please do that. I have talked to a few people, after Jalsa, actually, after Jalsa presentation. I have talked to them, questions or whatever they're guiding them or whatever experience I have, I've shared with them. So in particular franchise that we were talking about it. So anybody has any questions or need help or guidance, they can contact me. This good? Okay.
Yeah, that's good. And then, yeah, we can move on with your
How to find a
next one.
franchise. Now there are two ways that you can get into franchise business. One would be that people sell their business, the franchisees put for sale, and the other one will be that you contact the franchisor first and then get approval, and they would assign you whatever the locations and stuff that you work out with them. The one that direct deals that you deal with the business for sale, I think that is a better way, easier way to get into that thing. You make a deal with the franchisee who's selling the business, and then present the deal to the franchisor. It becomes easier. Now, these are the websites that advertise business for sales. First one is the nationalfranchisesales.com. This specializes the top restaurant franchises, right? You would see the top businesses. McDonald's, you hardly see McDonald's because they are sold in-house. But the Taco Bell, Popeyes, and so forth, they're all in there. FranchiseGator.com, FranchiseDirect.com, BizBuySell.com. People use those things. Check those things. See what kind of business you'll be comfortable. Pick that thing. If you need my help on there, I can guide. I give my opinion, or I can even look at those, research on those franchises also, and I can guide, like say, what to look for. Now, there's a franchise expo coming up in Los Angeles. It's scheduled for September 5th and 6th. It's called, if you will Google, franchiseexpowest.com, and it will come up there. Register yourself to attend that if you can. I would suggest that you do that. Those are very good. There will be all kinds of franchisors there. Probably McDonald's would not be the very top ones that are not there usually. But franchisor, franchisees, vendors, all those finance companies, they all will be there. You will get the idea how big that business is, and there will be many seminars you can check on. You can register for those to attend those. Majority of them are free, so take a vacation, go there, and I think it's a good thing. But the other thing is that if you want to go directly to the franchisor, just look at their website. Those are all online. Log in there, get fill out the application. They will contact you. They will ask you your financials and so forth, what the requirements are, and then move forward. At that point, from Sanatat Tijarat, if my services are available, National Secretary Saab, it's done very good job, and I think that anybody that any of us that can help, guide, we're willing to do that. So if you can go back to the other slide. Let me tell you that just my advice there, what I have learned. Just they're easy business and they're complicated business. Easy business would be the one you're looking at the franchise, Subway. Less money needed to invest, less employees, and very simple operation. Not even a real kitchen in it. Those are the convection oven, microwave, and so forth. And that's a very simple thing. So what that means is that everybody can get in there. Then you will see Subway around the corner. Every corner would have that. Every gas station would have that. Then what happens? Your sale will be down. Your revenue will be low. So it'll be more problems. So, but if it's a complicated business, like a dry cleaning business, it's not easy business. There are reasons for that. You need more money. There's a labor intensive. Operationally is difficult. Handling the customers is difficult. If you can master that, then there are more chances the competition will not come around you. So there are pros and cons about those things. So just keep that in mind. The other thing, very important thing, is that every business is a people business. Remember that line when you talk to franchisors or you go to finance companies. Say this thing: "Oh, I believe that every business is a people business," and they would think that you're a very smart guy, right? This is a good thing. So you need the people skills to handle employees, customers, and partners, and the franchisors. Effective communication is must. That's what you need to be successful businessman. And you need the effective communication in business, in religion, communities, and in relationships. Your relatives, your friends, community. You need the effective communication skills. So next one, please.
Just a quick time check, Bashir Saab. We have to wrap up in 15 minutes. We are also getting a lot of questions about how much cash is needed. Someone even said if they go through all these channels and they don't get a reply, what they should do. So just keep that in mind. We're having a lot of interest in this. So,
Okay,
but just a
keeping
time.
that in mind,
Yeah.
this thing, I'll just tell you that this is just a recap of what is the investment looks like in a franchise. This is the model for Zips Cleaners. $1 million net worth is needed, $350,000 liquid cash. Total investment is $1 million. $1.1 million is the revenue average. 2.5 miles radius they will give you per location, and 35. There's a franchise fee. Everybody has that. 6% royalty and the advertisement fees are there. 25 employees in each location, and it's a labor intensive, low price with high volume model, one price model, and same day service. That's the model. That's how you look at each franchise. Next one.
All right. So I suppose we'll come back to this general topic of investment and good examples of what people can do. But yeah, let's keep moving for now. So just a little bit more into what factors should people be considering. I know you touched upon like the initiation, but maybe just drilling down into what other gotchas there might be. And then Tarbai will also look forward to hearing some of what you have to add to that, given you have some very recent experience here.
These are the factors that you keep in mind when you're looking into the franchise. The first thing is the field. You want to get the field. Which field you want to go in to see how much control franchisor has in that business. What that means is the example of Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is a relatively low investment from the franchisees. But what they do is they have a control in that. And the franchisee of Chick-fil-A is like a highly paid manager. They can kick you out if there's a performance problem. That's what happens in there. So you want to see how much they have control in that. Franchise, these are the things, the general things that you look at it: franchise fees, royalty, advertisement, and any other hidden costs. Hidden costs are, for example, you have to pay for their softwares and the software development ongoing. They want franchisees to pay that. There's some of the costs like that you look at it. total investment and so forth, all those requirements. So the FDD is the franchise disclosure documents. They will tell you all the averages they have, all requirements they have, and what you should be expecting from them. That this is very important documents. They will provide you after you're approved as a, your application is approved. You look at the financial model, growth potentials, estimated profit loss, protective radius. See if they give you one franchise. I was just working with a member, another person, and their radius. They said there's no radius. They just go by the population. How much population is that? Means that they can just put it around the corner, so that can affect you. Personal guarantee. Remember that you have to provide. People would franchisor would have your personal guarantee. Finance company would have that, and the landlord would have if you're leasing the property and for a certain number of years. So this franchise, when you get into business, it's not a job that you can just quit the job and file for unemployment and then get another job. This is your life is on the line. So that's the bankruptcies and so forth. So it's very important, to give thoughts to, when you get into that thing. So next, please.
I believe that would be Tarbhai, and I think that's a good segue into what Tarbhai has to say, because Tarbhai, in our conversation, you actually mentioned some of those challenges. So please help us walk through your experience here.
Sure. I think Basisaf has gone through this on the strength. With franchise, you have the brand already established. There will be training provided by the franchisor, corporate marketing where they will do marketing on the national level, and also like some leverage on the vendor, so they can have a better pricing rather than if it's individual businesses. And they also provide mentorship on the network that we have. So like, I actually still stay friendship with those who actually started with me together. So we went to the corporate office for training. We started together. I still stay friends with them, and because they've been like basically the support in the beginning of my experience. And obviously you need support from your family because I think for me it was like essentially I have two jobs during that time. My brother is here. He was actually supporting me at the beginning of the first 2 years, my wife. So that is important. I think to do it just by myself, I think is almost impossible. I think one of the thing that I found out, some of the challenges, being in California and the Bay Area, there's a very high level labor cost here. So what I found is what the model, the franchisor model, they really, maybe it works in where they actually have a big operation, like somewhere in the Midwest. But what I found in especially in Bay Area, it's very, very high labor costs. And so like I'm always like stressed out on the very high expenses, like operational expenses. And obviously there's your royalties. I mean, royalties is obviously something that we have to pay back to the corporate. And also like the marketing where we actually pay for the marketing on the national level, but it may not actually align with what we need in the local level. So those are the challenges that I found. And then I think if I think if I would do over, I may strategize this differently including like maybe what business that I would take on. But I think I was really enjoying the previous slide from Basisaf that actually is very good actually. That is from me, Rafael.
Jazakallah, Tarbhai. I think the lessons learned would be really beneficial for those who might be looking into starting a journey like you, and what you would have done differently if you were to, let's say, be on the receiving end of this advice, earlier on. So that would be interesting. We are getting a lot of questions and interest about, forming working groups with both of you. So we'll follow up on that. Please go ahead, Tarbhai. I think you have additional
Oh yeah,
content to share. Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah, this is some of the key lesson learned. Franchise is just a framework. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to execute. And I think Basista mentioned like it's we have to do the homework earlier. I mean, this is something that if I would do over, like I would do the financial modeling before committing. I would talk to like somebody like Basista, for example, talk to a lot of franchisees, see what they had to say about the franchisor. Uh, Find partners. I think if you want to find partners that can complement your skills. So that means like doesn't have to be like somebody that like like you get along, but I think somebody that you think, oh, I have a better people skill, but like that person has a better technical skills. That can be a good match, in my opinion. And also invest early in local marketing. I think like in the first year, I was relying on what the franchisors telling me, but obviously they don't understand the local needs. So this is something that I learned. And plan your exit strategy from day one. Like, okay, because it can get sour or bad pretty quickly. I mean, like in my like those people who actually started with me, that friends who actually started together, actually more than 50% actually didn't have an exit strategy, and then they just went bankrupt, unfortunately. So they didn't have the maybe the right signals, like, hey, this is actually not gonna work out, and then better off to actually exit at that point. I think this is something that I'm blessed. Actually, I was able to actually understand that, okay, maybe this is the time for me to exit. And at the end of the day, is the franchise just give you the tools. So you still have to like be smart to use which tools that are gonna work for you. So like you cannot just rely on like, okay, do everything that the franchisors tell you, because it'd be like too many, in my experience, that to be too many tools they provide you. So you have to pick and choose which gonna provide the most impact.
Tarbhai, I think in the interest of time, we're gonna continue, but I think there's a lot of additional conversation that can be had here. So we will have a few minutes now to talk about how, in your opinion, Sanat Tijarat department can help with this. And I know both of you have some thoughts. So Bashir Saab, would you like to go first, just in a few short minutes, please?
Ji. I think that National Secretary Saab has already outlined that what Sanat Tijarat is supposed to be doing. But I think that it can help and guide you step by step in acquiring a franchise as far as the franchising is concerned. Sanat Tijarat can build a team of consultants. We, mashallah, have many people who have experience, and somebody needs that help that can be arranged, and get professionally involved with a member if desired. I think this is what I feel, and I think that people should understand, that members should understand that Santo Tijara, the Jamaat, is not a bank, it's not a finance company, and I think respected Amir Saab had clearly outlined that at the Jalsa meeting, that it's not that Jamaat is going to be funding that. So that is not the role. So, but I think it's a great help to get the guidance from Santo Tijarat.
Sakala. And then Tarbhai, your thoughts?
I think one thing that I learned about my experience is uh, you know royalty is something that we like to pay, obviously, right? So like Sanata Tijara has this network, like alhamdulillah, we blessed with this network. I think this could be a partnership based model. I would say, like, okay, somebody interested in electrical businesses, you know then we can work together. So like more like a peer or one-to-one. We can do share resources based on my experience. We have some templates that I learned while I'm running the business, standard operating procedures. I mean, like actually as we get bigger, we can actually have more muscle as well. Like we can have vendor discounts. And I think at the end, it's more like ongoing mentorship. Like we can work together. I think like you said, Rafael, a lot of interest in it. I think this one is more like a very high level talk. Like I mentioned, I just sold the business like last month, and like I thought this something that very exciting that we can if we can do. I mean, we can probably you know can benefit a lot of people as well.
Takala Tarpai, I think we have reached like the time where we would typically switch to Q&A. So let me just take a few questions and then we would like to move from there. So Bashir Saab, one question that came in is, what would be some advice for someone to seeking help in e-commerce and starting like an Amazon or Shopify store? Is that a quick one, or would you defer them for like a
Did you know,
follow-up?
let me explain that. Um, I'm not an expert in Amazon business, but I can tell you that when I was in London, with the cricket tournament, there was the person that was giving me ride, and I was asking him what he did, and he said that he does the business with the Amazon. I said, what does he do? He does the refurbish electronics. I said, where do you get those things? He said that he gets from Amazon. And I said, where did you keep them? I said, the Amazon store, Amazon warehouse. So there are so many businesses. And I think that people who are doing that we can get their information and we can connect people. And I did ask him that if he would train other people, because this is a very specialty thing. So he said, yeah, I would love to do that. And I think that's the Sanato Tijarat department can do that the people who are doing those businesses, that they can provide the help and training to the other people.
All right, Jazakallah. There's another question on, can you shed some light on capital requirements and what type of business you would suggest to anyone approaching retirement? And again, if it's too specific, we can always defer it to individual follow-ups.
That is the question. That should be from me. I'm ready to retire now. So what I should do for the retirement? But I think that each person would have his own requirements, circumstances, and I think that you should see that where you're going to be comfortable doing that. And I think that we can discuss that thing. There are different type of businesses. There's some businesses, the franchise, that you can have the organization. I have seen people. I have not been that big of a franchisee, but I mentioned the big franchisees there. They're very helpful, and I was friend with them. They had like 50, 100, 400 Burger Kings. So, and their children were there, and they had their own helicopters and so forth. They have own director of operations and marketing directors and so forth. They have their own organizations, and they're prospects like that. But if you want to retire, you want to have just a small company, but don't go overboard. Just do what you can handle. That's important.
All right. And maybe related to this, how much minimum cash investment is required to start a small franchise business? I know your answer might be depends, but go ahead.
Right. It depends. It depends on what you're looking at it, and why there's a less investment there. There are reasons for that, and I gave example of Subway. If you want to be like, say, family owned business, yeah, there are those businesses there are some motels are there. And I give you an example. I know that we don't have a time for that, but I looked into those, and I had some Patel friends, and then those Patels came, just a few Patels came from African countries, and they bought some motels, and then their children, they were living in 2 rooms, right? And family was living in 2 rooms, and they were renting the rest of it. That's how they saved money, and they bought more motels for their children, and their children, they had a pool, and any Patel would come to United States from Africa, they will buy a motel, and then they will put that money back to the pool. And now they are not in just a small motels. They're in a Hilton, a Marriott, and so forth. And the president, the chairman of the Hotel Association of United States is Patel, has been Patel for a long, long time, because
All
they
right.
own about 70% of the motels, and that's
All
how
right.
they've grown. So this is the community they have. And we
Jazakallah.
I don't I'm just emotional right now. That I
Ji.
think that we can do that as a community. We have all those ingredients to do that, but we need to learn what Patels have, Hindus have, Ismailis have, and Jews have.
Jazakallah, Bashir Saab. I think we have a call to make, and I'd let National Secretary Saab to make that call. There has been a suggestion to prolong the session another 15-20 minutes because of all the interest, but I know he has to say something before the scheduled time ends. And we also have to just very quickly talk about, I'll just display it for 5 seconds, the schedule of the upcoming webinars. This is not only a schedule, this is also a call for participation. If you have skills in any of these areas, we would be happy to feature, up to 2 speakers beyond what we may already have in mind. So this is the schedule. It's going to be like a monthly series on the second week every month. So please keep that in mind. And lastly, please save the date for ACE 2026. Next March in Dallas. With that, hand it over back to National Secretary Saab.
Jazakallah, if we can, we will extend over the hour. What I'd like to do, and I'll answer some of the questions as well. But what I'd like to do is, I think some of the questions lean towards, so why are we talking about business in a spiritual community? This seems a little distracting. With that, I will ask Murabbi Sayyid Adil Ahmed Sahib to share some direct quotes and guidance from Khulafa, as well as some context of this, and then we'll come back and talk about how each of you can be engaged going forward. I know there's a lot of requests to get phone numbers and call individuals directly, so I'll talk about what the process will be in doing that. While you're listening to Sayyid Adil Ahmed, Murabbi Sahib, Sayyid Adil Ahmed Sahib, if you do not know who your local Sanat al-Tijarat Secretary is, go ahead and text your local president and get their information. Just, I want to make sure everyone here knows who their local Sanat al-Tijarat Secretary is, because there's a hint that a lot of this information will be coming through them. With that, Murabbi Sahib, can you please, I believe you're a panelist. Can you please go ahead?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakallah. So what I'm going to share is some not quote, it's some instructions that Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu Anhu gave to respected Chaudhry Munir Ahmed Saab in 1947. So Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu Anhu had actually sent Chaudhry Munir Ahmed Saab as a Waqf-e-Zindagi, a life devotee, to England for the sake of trade. So his mission, explicitly, as a Muslim told him, is not to preach. His mission is to generate revenue for the Jamaat by doing business. There were a few of these, what they were known as trading missionaries, that were sent by Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu Anhu. He gave him a set of instructions in 1947. They're recorded in our literature. And I was just going to bring that quote so we can try to bridge that gap between business and making money, generate profits and revenue, and how we can purify our intentions so that even in the world of a business, we can try to do it for the sake of Allah Almighty. And Muhammad Saab, if you allow, can I read in Urdu first, or should I just go straight into the English?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'll read, it's a very short letter, just about 3 pages, but I'll read a portion of it so we know just how grand the vision of Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu Anhu is when it comes to Ahmadis and business and just trade in general. So Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu Anhu says to Chaudhry Munir Ahmed Saab, who he sent as a trading missionary, he says, quote, "Apne haussla ko buland kare, choti kamyabiyon par khush na ho, दुनिया की फतह अपना मकसूद बना लें। दुनिया को दुनिया ने अपने लिए हज़ारों साल कमाया है, अब क्यों ना सब तजारत और सनत दीन के लिए फतह कर ली जाए। ताकि ये ज़ाती झगड़े बिल्कुल ख़त्म हो जाएं। कम्युनिस्ट कौम के लिए लेते हैं और इस तरह ज़ाती लड़ाई को कौमी लड़ाई में बदल देते हैं, और चूंकि कौमें नहीं बदलती, लड़ाई की बुनियाद हमेशा के लिए कायम कर देते हैं। लेकिन हम अगर तजारत और सनत को मज़हब के लिए जीत लें तो लड़ाई का हमेशा के लिए ख़ात्मा हो जाएगा, क्योंकि मज़हब बदल सकता है और इस्लाम तबलीगी मज़हब है। जब सब लोग एक मज़हब के हो जाएंगे और तजारत मज़हब के हाथ में होगी तो दीन और दुनिया एक ही हाथ में जमा होकर लड़ाई का ख़ात्मा कर देंगे। And then Hazrat Muslim Maud Radhiyallahu anhu, the translation of this is raise your ambitions, do not be content with small success, make the conquest of the world your goal. The world has earned for itself for thousands of years. Why shouldn't trade and industry now be conquered for the sake of faith, so that these personal conflicts can end entirely? The communists take everything for the sake of the nation and convert personal conflicts into national struggles. And since nations do not change, the foundation of conflict becomes permanent. As a Muslim says, but if we win trade and industry for the sake of religion, then conflict will end forever, because religion can change, and Islam is a missionary religion. When all people adopt the same religion and trade is in the hands of religion, then both faith and the world will come together in one hand, bringing an end to conflict. In this letter, Hazrat Muslim Maud also instructs Chaudhry Munir Ahmed, these are word for word his words. He says, expand your work, increase your profits to the scale of millions, billions, and then trillions. These are exact words of Hazrat Muslim Maud. So that from hundreds we appoint thousands of missionaries, and from thousands we reach hundreds of thousands. And every year after millions, billions of tracts and books are published and distributed. So Hazrat Muslim Maud obviously had the highest ambitions for the Jamaat and for Ahmadis as well. And essentially his message over here is that through business, of course, it's obvious to everyone, you establish a certain grip and power in the world, but the majority of the resources and the financial prowess are in the hands of non-Muslims. And if that comes into the hands of those who fear God, if business is in the hand of those who live according to the principles of Allah Almighty, then as a Muslim out is saying that the conflicts in the world that we see over and over again are going to be removed. If people are not living with the fear of God and they have the resources of the world, then they're going to use it for wrong reasons. They're going to end up using it for oppressive purposes. So his vision is very bold for us, that he literally says millions, billions of trillions of revenue we should try to generate. But the reason is for the spread of Islam. And the reason is so that through us, when people see that God-fearing people are doing honest and good business, how that can help in removing the conflict that we see around the world. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah, Rabbi Saab, and I failed to mention that Rabbi Saab is from Dallas, and I got messages from multiple individuals from Dallas Jamaat saying that you need to recognize where he is. And Imtiaz Hussain Saab, yes, he is from Dallas, and mashallah, Jazakallah for sharing. And I know Sadr Majlis Qudam al-Ahmadiyya Abdullah Dibba Saab is on as well, and Azaz Mali Saib, who is the Senator Tijarat Secretary for Majlis Qudam al-Ahmadiyya USA, is on, as well as multiple other individuals, and we can certainly make them panelists as well. We won't leave, so we're here. What I'd like to share in some of these questions is, I know there are certain questions around pork, interest, all these
Mac,
questions. Yeah,
can we just do a quick 5-second poll before more people drop, and then we'll give it back to you.
sure.
Ramla Saba, can you just pull up the poll, please? So this is an exit poll, just to get your input on this session. You can let us know if this was helpful, not helpful, if you'd like to suggest new topics, and any other suggestion. So we'll give everybody just 15 seconds to do that.
Why don't we leave that up, Rafi Bhai,
Yeah,
and then
okay, that's fine, yeah.
Yeah, I think we can do two things at once here. So what there's a lot of questions, there's a lot of specific questions, and alhamdulillah, every Jamaat in the country has a local Senator Tijarat Secretary. Most of those are on the call today. So if you don't know who your secretary is, please reach out to them. What we would like to do is to have these dialogues locally in smaller group as well. We will, of course, make Bashir Shamsab and Tahir Lubisab available if you want to talk about franchise in general, if you want to talk about franchise in the electric business. We will set up smaller sessions where we can go deep and have a working session of a how-to session much more deeply. But in the meantime, the best way to ask for any of this information is through your local secretary. And if you don't get the answers, please reach out to me or anyone here, and we'll be happy to help you. As it relates to the questions around what if there's pork in the business? What if there? How do I deal with interest? Can I take an interest loan? Can I lease a car? Can I do any of those things? We will, as a department, not be sharing the answer here. What we will be doing is providing direct quote, just like Rabbi Sayyid Adil Ahmed Sahib did. We will provide the direct quote and allow everyone to interpret for themselves what that means for everyone else. If you are looking for specific questions, there's a lot of questions on how should I do this? I have limited resources. I want a how-to. Again, start with your local secretary. They will reach out to a lot of these individuals, and we can host sessions in your local Jamaat as well. There may be other partnerships in local Jamaats where a few of you may come together to do something. All those things are possible. And I don't want anyone to forget the intra-Ahmadi commerce as well. Some of you already have businesses, Fateh Qureshi Saab, some of you may know, is in Los Angeles. He's written a book on successful entrepreneurship. So we will be sharing all those resources, but this is more around the business area. And we expect trade to happen. Trade means it's not Sadka, it's not Khidmat, but there's actual trade happening where amongst Ahmadis as well, doing business together. We will provide templates for that. If you need an NDA, if you need a partnership agreement, how do you structure that? We have legal experts on the team who can provide some information around that as well. I can keep going, but I just want to make sure that before anyone leaves, make sure you connect with your local secretary, push them a little. We'll host local events as well. With that, let me turn it back. Rafi Bhai, why don't you open up the questions, and Ramla Sahib, if you can add Sadar Khudam Al-Ahmadiyya to the panelists as well, and we can ask others to answer it as well. We're not going anywhere. I think you're on mute, Rafi Bhai.
That's correct. I'm out of mute now. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, I will go back to the list where we left off. So we have another question. If you are a W-2 person having no previous business experience, how likely you will be approved to get a franchise, and how would you satisfy the management to get qualified?
I think that is the W-2 employees. It depends, like say how much the internal revenue you're submitting. How much income you have. Some of the W-2s can be very high, and it depends on, like say, how much money you have, how many liquid funds you have, and how much net worth you have. Those are the two things that they're going to look at it. And I think that the training they can provide, but like in my case, I give example. I did not have money. I was a student. I came here as a student. I did not have money, but I gained that knowledge that where I was the top manager that won the trips and stuff in that, because I learned like that. Then there's somebody, some other Ahmadi, some cousin or whoever relative, they saw that the prospect in that, and they invested. There was one of the doctors was in that who gave the guarantee. They are going to ask for personal guarantees. They will not give you just a business like that. So you have to maneuver that and get those things. And I would say on the next slide actually is that all these things come from Allah Ta'ala. Just pray for that. and things would fall in place when things are going to happen, when Allah Ta'ala is going to give you that. When it's not for you, no matter what you do, it's not going to happen. So go with that thing, do that thing, do the homework, work hard. Whatever your W-2 you're getting, the job, do the best job, be honest and loyal and hard work. Learn those ins and out of that business. And most likely it will be better if you stay in that franchise. If there's a franchise available in that business, because you know that business. That's the guarantee, a safeguard that you have, that you know how to deal with that. Then of course you grow your business, and hopefully you want to do the business where you're going to see that you don't have to work yourself. You don't, your family doesn't have to work. I was blessed that my family never worked in my, well, my daughters, yeah, they were involved, but not that they had to. So
All right.
look for that business where it's going to afford to have the managers and director of operations and so forth, that you develop that. But any
Okay.
particular person has a question, please, you can contact me.
So maybe one more question before I hand it back to the panel is I'm going to combine 2 or 3 questions into one, because they are all about guidance for like a specific type of business. So we have someone from real estate, right, trying to do Airbnb. We have someone from SEO and marketing trying to help companies with digital marketing and offering, that kind of help. And we have someone who is maintenance mechanic and want to set up, their car repair business, right? So I don't know, I'm lumping this all together because what I'm seeing common in them is like they have a particular interest and they want to get started. What would be your advice to them for their specific fields?
Yeah. This is the wonderful service that Sanatul Tijarat can provide. When somebody is interested in certain field, we have other people that who are doing the business, and we can connect them. Like example is this last month after the Jalsa, there was a one person from real estate business in Virginia wanted to diversify, and we had a conversation about 2-3 hours on the phone. And then I suggested that, hey, go with the assisted living business because you're in real estate, buy property. And I connected him with Nadeem Bhatti Saab, who has done that business. He's very good in that. He's still developing that. So he came over. We had about 3 hour meeting in Maryland, and he's working on that with him one-on-one basis. So this is the service, the help that we can provide. We can connect them. There are people in Airbnb business, and we can just connect them with them, and they can just guide them, and maybe they can have a partnership in those things. It's very difficult to have partnership with the operations based businesses like a restaurant. That it depends, that your revenue is going to, the valuation is going to depend on the operations. But the real estate, that type of business, you can make a deal, partnership, just divide. Everybody should remember that when you have a partnership, it's not just the profit sharing, it's the loss sharing also in that, your partner in everything. So you got to remember that.
All right. Magpie, do you have time for a couple more?
Yes.
Okay. I'd just like to ask this one because I think this hasn't been asked before. Would it be better to buy an existing franchise business or open a new franchise business?
I think it would be easier to buy the existing business. The reason for that is that you know the track record, how long that business has been. You can get the P&L statements for 3-5 years. You know that the bank would know that because they have been dealing with that. So it's easier to do that. You make a deal with the franchisee who's selling it, and then go to the franchisor. I think it's easier to do that. The new one thing that there's going to be more requirements, and then you're going to have to work from the scratch.
Yeah.
So existing one, the existing franchisee who's selling, he would help you out also in the training. So I think it's better to do that.
Rafi, actually, maybe if I can add, I had that experience just recently. So actually,
Right.
there is a Mr. Electric San Jose, which is basically like 5-10 miles from me. And at that time, actually, I was trying to sell, but for some reason, she decided to actually just started her own. I think the one thing about, I think I mentioned about, high operational costs here in San Jose. Like literally that person who just opened in January, right now, she's thinking to sell because she just couldn't keep up with the expenses. I think back to the questions, yeah, I think I will strongly suggest, depending on what operational cost will be or what type of business they are, maybe it's always be beneficial to go with existing franchise. Because like Basil Saab said, we can look at the last 5 years P&L. So it's already existing business. If somebody that actually knew probably can have that, some cushion before they have to run it on his own.
But I think if I can add, like a UPS store, that is pretty hot franchise right now. I was not aware of that. The other people have told me that who have been working on that. That cost of that will be about $300,000 total cost to develop that. If you can do that, and if you're comfortable with that, that you can raise the volume of $1 million in that, then you can even that would have the higher valuation of that business. So it would be easy. It would be better to start the business from scratch. But if you buy that now, if it's $1 million revenue, they're going to ask about $1 million for that. So there are things that you can compare, and depending on what business is that.
Mhm.
All right, Jazakallah. I think the chat continues to be active, but I think we would at some point have to, like all good things, have to come to like a pause. So we will pause it here, refer it back to the panel. There are some interesting ideas about even cross-border franchises. Azmat Bhai from Canada has put in an interest to be part of a working group. So there's a lot, I think, that would be happening in this space. But back to you, National Secretary Saab, for now.
Jazakallah to Bashir Shams Saab and Tahir Lubis Saab. A few things, and if Sada Saab, if you're on, if you can turn your video on if you're available. But one, Canada is having their ACE conference September 19 to 21. I'm sure all Americans are invited to that, where they'll be doing a deep dive, and there are brothers to the north of us, and we work very closely with them. Halim Tayyib Saab and his entire team has been very loving and welcoming to U.S. members. So those that can attend should do so. Secondly, back to a lot of these questions, now we need to get to the how to. So as you have more questions, please share with everyone, share with your local secretary, and we'll set up a how-to session with Bashir Shams Saab. And if you want to work with our Lubis Saab on the electric side of the business, we can set up a real working session with him as well. So cutting back to real work, where we don't want to lose sight of is we want everyone to really work towards starting a new business. And there are natural questions on how do I work well with Amadis? What do I, and we will address a lot of those questions, but we'd really encourage each and every one of you to think about the quote that Marabi Adil Saib shared and how we can all move in that direction. Dibba Saab, are you on? Doesn't seem
Yes,
like.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Yes,
Come-
I'm right here. I had to unmute myself.
So the Saab, two questions. One, we're grateful to the partnership with Majlis Khadam Ul Ahmadiyya USA, and any instructions from that standpoint. I know Khadam Ul Ahmadiyya is providing, as Azam Ali Saab is providing Google training certification classes, as well as many other things. And at your Ijtima, you're going to be doing stuff as well. If you can share any closing thoughts and close us with dua.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Jazakumullah, this is a great initiative. I think if you speak to a lot of young people, I see many young people nowadays who, especially during COVID, many of these kids thought they can get into, buying stocks and selling them, or starting their own e-commerce or starting their own business. And unfortunately, a lot of young people have lost money, and have even stopped going to college because they thought they could make $1 million over a year. And there's been a lot of misinformation, a lot of false hope surrounding that. So it's such a blessing to have, alhamdulillah, very experienced business personnel in our midst, and to have Sanat Tijara leading this, where young people can come, inshallah, and get real life, information and guidance. So I just wanted to voice that appreciation from the Majlis, and inshallah we'll push and encourage our youngsters to come and get that information from the right sources instead of a lot of the misinformation that's online. So jazakumullah to all of that, and I appreciate this webinar.
So Saab, can you close with dua?
Ji, please join me in dua. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ameen.
Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah.